Okay guys, the vintage intake saga continues. We'll quickly run through some rare, cool and badass vintage intakes of the 60s and early 70s, especially for the small block Fords. Kicking it off with this Shelby top dual 4-barrel cross ram intake. This one here is a bit of a tricky one, not too sure on its history, with that thin dual carb top and the linked water neck outlet on the front there. Not certain if it's an actual Nascar or Trans Am piece or just a rare Shelby aftermarket, even prototype intake. Here's another one similar with different top and only a single water neck housing outlet. And again, another one here by Edelbrock seems to be a more smooth, rounded and curved top, perhaps increasing some plenum volume that way. Interesting, that one. Now, we all know this one, don't we? If not, go back and watch a full video I've done on this intake. It's the Budmore Mini Plenum that was on the championship winning Budmore Trans Am Mustang. And here's another one in magnesium for a Boss 429. Another Boss 429 Nascar intake here, box plenum, cross ram. That was famously used throughout Nascar in that period in a number of Ford powered V8s. Look at this super rare magnesium intake. Another Boss 429 prototype that houses the rare and badass Autolite inline carb. Okay, moving along to the Boss 302 Cross Boss that was destined for the Trans Am but turned away. Check out the full video on that if you haven't already. Boss Weber intakes were a badass thing in the day, especially these rare early Shelby Cobra ones. Really sought after nowadays and fetch good coin if they were ever to pop up for sale. Here's a very rare Doug Nash intake that houses not one but two Autolite inlight carbs for serious competition and horsepower. Doug Nash also had a separate log intake and separate valley base plate that was interchangeable so that you could be able to run it on Boss heads, whether it'll be a Boss 302 Windsor or Cleveland 4V large port. Not only could it be an injector style, but twin Autolites also on top. Now that's cool. Holman Moody Weber intake here for a 351 Windsor, and check out that sold price. Wow. This here is a rare Smokey Eunuch setup you're looking at for a race-bred Boss 302. It's a short ram, twin dominator carbs, no plenum and individual banked water outlets. And yes, Smokey Eunuch did dabble with Ford power plants in case you're wondering. Check out this super rare prototype race engine Ford had got Smokey Eunuch to work on. Wow. Check out the cross pattern pushrod layout. You know, them wild heads, crazy rocker system there, crank scraper down below. And the block deck surface has an extra head bolt provision on the intake valley end. So, 5 head bolts per cylinder on this one. Almost looks like the same time of them other videos I've done on that rare alloy Cleveland block. Check it out if you haven't already. Okay, here's a rare dual carb intake for all them tunnel port small block Ford lovers. This one here, guys, I've done a separate video on. It's a very rare tri-power intake for a 351 Cleveland 4V Boss head. Only a handful around. Was for the Ford Nascar 366 cubic inch program that got rejected. This piece shown here is, it's a cool and rare piece, and with the matching tri-power air cleaner assembly also. It's pretty badass. Of course, the 351 Cleveland Budmore Nascar intake, also another separate video on that one. If you've missed it, go back to check that out. And here's the somewhat rare Cleveland 4V UR19 tunnel ram by Edelbrock that has the Dominator plenum top. And, you know, while we're on Cleveland tunnel rams, check out this rare and cool adapter by Pro Stock Engineering for those, you know, wanting to adapt a 4V Cleveland tunnel ram to their FE big block Ford. That's cool. And last but surely not least, Manifold, custom manifold induction systems. Check out the previous video I did on this. This one here is a rare one-off custom piece done and modified by Manifold back in the days. This particular one started life as an Edelbrock or a Mickey Thompson cross ram to suit the 289 or 302 small block Ford Windsor, and extensively modified. Set out to have been a progressive linkage setup with the smaller bore and bolt pattern Rochesters on the outers, on the outsides, and the larger Rochesters to be in the centre, you know, kicking everything off. Also, it's been tapped in each runner for a afterburner setup, a direct port injection when needed. Neat piece of history, that one. There you go, guys. A quick run through on some cool vintage, especially small block Ford intakes in the early days of innovation and racing. Thanks, guys.